You guys, this has been like a really long day, but I wanted to take 5 more minutes and lengthen my day by 5 more minutes to tell you guys about it. So, today I drove over 400 miles for a wedding cake, and along the way I had 8 stops, and the cake was doing really good, and I'll post the picture of it, you guys. It looked so cute, and the bride has the sweetest heart I've ever met. So, to preface this story a little bit, a couple months ago, I said a prayer, and I wanted to see others and feel God's love for them. I wanted to see someone else and feel what they were feeling so that I might know what to say to help them. And I also prayed that I could serve others through my talents. And, I never planned on making cakes or cookies. I made one, and then one turned into 5, and 5 turned into 20, and now that's all I do is cakes. But, so today I drove over 400 miles for this cake, and yesterday I spent hours on this cake, and 2 weeks ago I spent hours baking this cake. And like I said, the bride is just the most deserving bride I've ever met. And I was on my last stop in Hurricane, and it is hot in Hurricane and all through St. George, and it was hot in my trunk, and the cake was so moist that someone pulled out in front of me, and I hit my brakes, and the cake, it was a disaster, you guys. It was beyond repair. Like, it looked like the cake had turned inside out in my trunk. With 20 miles to go. So, I make it to my last stop, and I'm like, I need a Diet Coke, you guys. I'd already drank my first 44 ounce for the day, and it was time for round 2. And, I met Morgan and JC at Swig to give them their cookie dough, and I showed them the cake. I wish I would have taken a picture of it because it was that bad, you guys. And you can ask them. They saw it, and they thought it tasted good. At least they got a taste of it. Someone did. And this was 2 hours before I was supposed to have this cake here. And I also made 200 cookies for this wedding, and so I just spent a lot of time on it. Anyways, I had 2 hours before this bride's reception, and I decided I am going to make another cake, because there's no way, if I can help it, that this bride will not have a cake on her wedding day. So I went to Smith's, and I bought everything to make a new cake. I bought 1 pan, because that's all they had. And if you don't know much about cakes, this cake, to make it tall, you have to bake 3 to 4 layers to make just that one cake. So that means you have to use that pan 4 times to make cake that tall. So long story short, I ended up trying to recreate her cake in 2 hours, which was not happening. So, ended up, to save time, I thought, well, I will fill this pan to the top to make it as high as I possibly can to save on time. Well, I didn't think about how it takes 3 times as long to bake that way until after her reception had started and the cake was still in the oven. Mason's grandparents live in St. George, and so that's how I had a kitchen to do it. But, so I get this cake out of the oven, and it is piping hot, and you can't frost a cake piping hot because the frosting separates, and it doesn't even turn into a glaze, it turns into clump crap. I mean, anyway, so it's an hour past when her reception started, and I am sitting here with 2 layers of cake. One that is this big, and one that is this big, and I'm trying to frost it piping hot, and it is not working. So I stick it in the freezer, and I wait, and it is the hardest thing to wait for this cake as she's waiting on me to deliver her cake. And long story short, I get a cake that is not what she ordered, but still a wedding cake. And I take it to her wedding, and I can see that she just has a weight on her shoulders. And probably a lot that I don't even know. But I hugged her, and tears just filled my eyes when I just felt her spirit, because it just felt so pure and loving, and like she has the biggest heart in the world. And I found out that her special day was dampened a little bit with just some family things, and I was so glad that I took the time to make her cake, because she was worth making 2 wedding cakes for. She's a bride worth 2 wedding cakes. And I got it there as people were leaving, and things were being packed up, and I still am it was still perfect. I brought it there, and even her photographer was gone. So I took pictures of them cutting their cake, and all she had to say after that, she said, "Courtney, I am so grateful that you were in my life, and that you made a cake for my wedding day, and it means more than just a cake." And she told me that I am just, in her words, she said, "You are an angel." And I told her, I said, "I am refunding you the $200 that you paid for a wedding cake that you wanted and you didn't get." And she said no. And I said, "Don't argue with me." And she still won't give me her information so that I can refund her. So I hope if you guys see this, that you will tag her in it to convince her that I want it to be a wedding gift, that her cake is on me, and that she definitely deserves it. And I wanted to put this all in a post, but I just couldn't, so I am recording it at after 11 o'clock at night, and I just pulled into my garage and I'm ready for bed, but it was a story that I thought someone might need to hear. So